Cette vidéo vous est proposée par Étape, magazine leader européen consacré au design graphique. Étape existe en version anglaise, espagnole et chinoise. Pour feuilleter un exemplaire ou vous abonner, rendez-vous sur étape.com/preview.
You know, looking at film on the internet is a very different experience from looking at it in a cinema or on a DVD on a nice big screen. So, to me, it's another area where they diverge, where they go in different directions. And graphic design is ordinary. It's every day. We see it everywhere. There's a new generation of moving image, which is ordinary. The epic has no place in it. And it's to do with economics, because film is phenomenally expensive. I mean, really expensive. If you make a feature film, a Hollywood film, it costs millions. And not only the film, you've got to market it. Suddenly there's a generation, and maybe it's a bit like punk in the 70s. There's a DIY, English phrase, DIY, do it yourself. There's a do it yourself culture at work, which I think is really interesting. And it's short, it's instant, it's online, you have it on your phone, you have it on your internet screen. And again, for me, it's just film, traditional film, and digital moving image pulling apart, going in different directions. There's another thing that I think is worth mentioning is the way digital is eroding broadcast. I think this is a very, very big thing. I think broadcast television, which used to be, in terms of each country, a sort of universal thing. You know, in Britain we'd have a handful of TV stations. We'd all watch the same ones, and there was a shared cultural force that we could all enjoy. That's been eroded. There's now a multi-channel environment. You can have, if you've got satellite, you can have hundreds and hundreds of channels. That, to me, the digital moving image ethos is part of that sort of disposable channels, disposable entertainment. The danger is that it becomes lumped in with that world. Now, I think you're right. I think there is a new syntax, and there is some wonderful work being done. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is some fantastic work being done in the digital domain. I think you have a lot of it in France. And if you look at the 1.0 festival, you will see some fabulous new use of this medium. But like everything else, it's under commercial pressure. The clients know it's cheap. They know it's cheap. So let's get these people to do this sort of work and branding and other sort of more ephemeral sorts of work. So it's under a lot of pressure from commercial interests. It's a huge change, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly that change. Modern media is participatory. We're not being served up with a monolithic view. We are. The big broadcasters and media owners are under threat. MySpace, which is a huge phenomenon, the media is populated by the user. Television isn't. Television, they're trying, they're saying, send us your pictures, send us your views, text us, email us, send pictures via your mobile phone. But that's a sort of a sop. That's a kind of well, we know we're losing out to the internet, so we send us, feel you're part of it. But it's eroding it. I mean the big in Britain there is the BBC, which I'm sure everybody knows, and then there's a thing. The next biggest thing is a thing called ITV, which is independent television. The BBC has no advertising, ITV does, and ITV is in the most serious trouble. Their audience is dwindling, and the biggest problem is their advertising. They make money from advertising. The advertising is plummeting, falling and falling and falling. And the reason for that is advertisers know that the audience, the young audience, and they're not all young people, but the audience wants a more participatory media, so they've moved online, they've moved to their mobile phones, and these huge companies that used to be, there was a famous comment in British society where somebody said that ITV, independent television, television with advertising, was a license to print money. If you had an ITV franchise, you were basically printing your own money, and that's gone. It's taken 40 years, but it's gone. So I think all this is to do with a new media landscape where and I see it in my children. I have children, and they hardly watch television, and if they do, they want to watch it on the internet. They'll watch it on their Macs, and they might watch something, and then an hour later, the clips are on YouTube. So that's not the way television was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So I think it's really interesting, and moving image is part of that world for me. It's much closer to that world of participatory media, DIY, filmmaking. Nobody cares about quality. The quality on YouTube is terrible, terrible. No one cares. No one cares. Yeah, but in cinema, the directors would shoot themselves if that was the quality. So that's a huge change. That's a huge, huge change, and there's an audience, and I, you know, one of my main interests is cinema. A great cinema, to me, is the great modern art form, and you know, I wonder if there will be great films made in 10, 15 years' time. I really wonder. You know, I really wonder.